The morning light slips through the curtain. A gentle hum of birds fills the air. Margaret sits by the window, her hands resting on her knees. She watches the garden she once loved so much. The roses are still there, but she hasn't touched them in months. She sighs as she bends to tie her shoe. Her back stiffens. Her knees resist. A simple movement now feels like a mountain. She pauses, feeling the weight of time. The house is quiet, too quiet. She remembers the morning she used to dance in the kitchen. Barefoot, laughing. Now, even reaching for a cup feels like a stretch too far. She whispers, "When did it get this hard?" Outside, the sun grows brighter, almost calling her out. She feels something stir inside, a small, stubborn spark. Maybe she can move again. Maybe not like before, but enough. She breathes in slowly, feeling the ache soften just a little. And for the first time in a long while, she decides not to give up. The waiting room smells faintly of coffee and disinfectant. Margaret flips through an old magazine, pretending to read. Her knees ache from sitting too long. When the nurse calls her name, she moves slowly, holding the armrest for balance. The doctor greets her with a warm smile. "Good to see you again, Margaret," he says. She smiles back, though her body feels heavier than her expression. They talk about her blood pressure, her heart, her sleep. Everything seems fine, until he asks about movement. "Do you still walk in the mornings?" he asks gently. She shakes her head. "Not much lately. My knees complain too much." He nods, writing something down. Then he looks up and says, "Your heart's strong, Margaret, but your joints are whispering." She tilts her head, curious. "Whispering?" "Yes," he says, smiling. "They're asking you to move, not hard, just enough to remember they're alive." She laughs softly, but the words settle deep inside her chest. That night at home, she sits in her armchair, replaying the doctor's voice. Her joints are whispering. She looks down at her legs, the same legs that once walked miles through the park. She remembers hiking with her husband, chasing her children by the lake, dancing at weddings. Those legs carried her through every chapter of life. Now they feel like strangers. She stands up slowly, one hand on the wall. Her knees tremble, but she stays upright. The floor feels solid, grounding. The room is quiet, except for the ticking clock on the wall. She bends slightly, just a little. Her knees crack, a small sound in the silence. It hurts, but it also feels alive. She straightens and sits again, her breath steady but her heart racing. It's not fear. It's something else, curiosity. When did she stop listening to her body? When did she start believing that movement was only for the young? Outside, the wind stirs the curtains. The faint smell of rain fills the room. Margaret closes her eyes and imagines herself walking again. Not fast, not far, but free. The next morning, she wakes earlier than usual. The sun hasn't fully risen, and the house is still. She ties her robe and walks to the kitchen. Her knees complain again, but softer this time. She fills the kettle, waits for the water to boil, and whispers to herself, one step at a time. The tea warms her hands, her breath steady. She opens her notebook and writes a single sentence, "Move again, no matter how small." The words look fragile on the page, but they hold power. She smiles faintly, tracing them with her finger. For the first time in years, she feels a plan forming, quiet but certain. Her joints have whispered. Now it's her turn to answer. She doesn't know what movement will look like yet, but she knows she'll begin. Not tomorrow. Today. The rain has stopped by morning. A pale light falls across the wooden floor. Margaret sits with her cup of tea, the steam curling like memory. She remembers the words she wrote last night, "Move again, no matter how small." The words echo softly in her mind. She opens her tablet, searching for something simple, something gentle. Her fingers move slowly on the screen until she finds a video titled Knee-to-Toe Bends for Seniors. The thumbnail shows an older woman smiling, her hands resting lightly on a chair. Margaret hesitates, her thumb hovering over the play button. Then she exhales and presses it. A calm voice fills the room. "Good morning," says the instructor. "If you're standing, find something stable to hold onto. If you're sitting, that's okay too." The woman's tone is patient, kind, without rush. Margaret rises, holding onto the back of her dining chair. Her knees protest, her back stiffens, but she stays upright. The instructor continues, "Let's start small. Bend gently from your knees to your toes. Don't force, just breathe." Margaret follows, bending slowly. Her knees feel tight, like old hinges that haven't been used. Her toes stretch, her back shifts. She feels awkward, uncertain, but strangely hopeful. The movement is simple, yet it demands attention. Each bend feels like speaking a forgotten language. Her legs tremble slightly, her breath quickens. But the voice on the screen is calm. "You're doing well," it says. "Every movement counts." Margaret smiles, surprised by how good those words feel. She bends again, slower this time. Her muscles remember something, faint but familiar. A rhythm, a softness. She stands taller after the third bend, her shoulders loosening. For a moment, she forgets the stiffness. For a moment, she feels her body, not as a burden, but as a companion. The video ends with gentle music and a reminder to drink water. Margaret turns off the tablet and sits back down. Her heart beats faster than usual, but it's not from exhaustion. It's excitement. She did it. Just a few bends, but she moved. She laughs quietly to herself, the sound warm in the quiet kitchen. She looks out the window, the garden glistening with drops of rain. The world feels awake again. She whispers, "Maybe that's all I needed." Later that day, she tries again. Just a few bends while waiting for the kettle. Then again before bed. Her knees still ache, but it's a different ache now. It's not pain, it's proof of life. When she lies in bed that night, she feels a strange lightness. Her body hums softly, like it's thanking her. She closes her eyes, smiling. Tomorrow she'll do it again. Maybe one more bend. Maybe two. And maybe, just maybe, she'll start to feel like herself again. The first week feels long. Margaret wakes up each morning with a mix of courage and doubt. Her knees ache before she even starts. Still, she stands by the chair, ready to try again. The floor creaks beneath her bare feet. She breathes in, bends slowly, exhales. The motion is stiff, her back tight like old rope. After 10 bends, she stops, hands trembling slightly. Her legs feel heavy, her body uncertain. She wonders if it's worth it. In the reflection of the window, she sees herself standing there, small, determined, a little lost. She remembers the instructor's words, "Every movement counts." She repeats them under her breath. Every movement counts. By the third day, her muscles protest louder. She moves slower, her breath shallow. Her knees throb when she walks to the kitchen. It would be so easy to skip a day. To say she's too tired. To say she's too old. But something inside her resists. She takes a deep breath and whispers, "Not today." She bends again. Not deep, not perfect, but real. By the 5th day, she's sweating before she finishes her morning tea. Her joints crack like dry twigs, but she smiles through it. Because she knows that sound means something is waking up. She remembers the doctor's voice. "Your joints are whispering." She imagines them speaking softly now, saying, "Thank you." That thought makes her laugh. It's not pretty or graceful, but it's hers. On the 7th day, she nearly quits. The morning feels colder, her body slower. The video seems longer than usual. Halfway through, she sits down, rubbing her knees. "I can't," she says quietly. The room answers with silence. She looks at her reflection again, tired eyes shaking hands. Then she sees something else, her posture, straighter than before. Her breathing deeper. Her face softer. She realizes she's already changed, just a little. She stands again, gripping the chair tightly. "All right," she whispers, "one more time." She bends slowly, carefully, her breath steady. Pain meets patience in a quiet rhythm. Her knees still hurt, but her heart feels strong. When she finishes, she sits with her hands on her lap, smiling faintly. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But she didn't quit. That night, as she climbs into bed, her legs ache like they've worked all day. But it's a good ache, the kind that promises growth. She closes her eyes, feeling the pulse of her body, alive, aware, grateful. Tomorrow might hurt too, but she knows she'll show up again. Because somewhere between pain and patience, she's learning how to trust her body again. And that, she thinks softly, is worth every bend. 3 weeks have passed. The mornings feel lighter now. Margaret wakes before the alarm, her body no longer dreading the first movement. She sits up slowly, testing her knees, and smiles. The stiffness is still there, but softer, less cruel. She stands, stretches, and walks to the window. Outside, the garden glows in the pale sunrise. Dew sparkles on the roses she planted years ago. She hasn't touched them in months, but today feels different. Today she feels ready. She places her hands on the back of the chair and begins her routine. One bend, then another. Her movements are smoother, her breathing calm and measured. She bends toward her toes, and for the first time her fingers brush the floor. She freezes, surprised, then laughs aloud. The sound fills the quiet room like sunlight through glass. It's a small victory, but to her, it feels like climbing a mountain. Her body remembers what freedom feels like. The aches haven't vanished, but they've turned into something familiar, like a friend reminding her to move kindly. After her stretches, she puts on music, soft and slow. A song she used to dance to in her kitchen. Her feet move gently, her hips swaying just a little. She laughs again, shaking her head at her own rhythm. The joy feels natural, almost childlike. Movement no longer feels like a chore. It feels like coming home. Later that day, she walks outside, the breeze cool against her face. She bends down to pick up a fallen rose petal. No pain, no hesitation, just movement, smooth and easy. Her neighbor, Elsie, calls from across the fence. "You're out early today," she says with a smile. Margaret grins, trying something new. Elsie nods, curious. Margaret shows her the gentle bends, holding onto the fence for balance. Elsie laughs, then joins her. 2 women, side by side, bending and stretching beneath the morning sun. Their laughter floats across the yard, soft and warm. After a few minutes, they both stand tall, breathing deeply. Elsie pats her arm. "That actually feels good." Margaret nods. "It does, it really does." That night, Margaret writes in her notebook again. She adds a new line beneath her first sentence. "Keep moving. The body listens when you do." Her handwriting is steadier now. Her hands don't shake as they used to. She closes the notebook, feeling calm. As she turns off the light, she glances at her reflection in the mirror. She doesn't look younger. She looks alive. Her body, once heavy with doubt, now feels like her own again. She smiles softly to herself. It wasn't magic. It was time, patience, and a little courage. Tomorrow, she thinks, she'll play the music again. And she'll bend toward her toes, not just for strength, but for joy. Margaret sits on the porch, the afternoon sun resting gently on her shoulders. A soft breeze moves through the garden, carrying the scent of roses. She watches the leaves sway, her hands resting on her lap. Her body feels calm, grounded, almost peaceful. It's been a month since she began the knee-to-toe bends. Every morning now starts the same way, quiet breath, steady movement, gentle rhythm. She no longer counts how many bends she does. She just moves until her body feels awake. And somewhere between the bends and the breaths, she has found understanding. It isn't about stretching further or lasting longer. It's about listening. Each movement feels like a conversation with her body. A kind one. A patient one. She realizes she has spent years treating her body like a machine, expecting it to work without rest, scolding it when it didn't. Now she moves with gratitude. Each bend feels like saying thank you. Thank you for carrying me. Thank you for healing when I wasn't gentle. Thank you for staying, even when I forgot to care. She bends forward slowly, her breath deep, her fingers brushing the ground. The stretch feels alive, warm and full of memory. Her back hums, her knees steady. This is not exercise anymore. It's connection. She smiles, eyes closed, hearing the soft creak of her joints like a familiar song. There's no rush, no competition, no finish line. Just her and the rhythm of movement. When she stands, she feels lighter, as if something invisible has lifted from her shoulders. She walks to the garden, kneels by the soil without fear. The earth feels cool beneath her hands. She plants a small seedling, pressing the dirt gently. A month ago, she couldn't even bend this low. Now she kneels with ease, her body steady and strong. The realization makes her laugh softly. Not because of pride, but because of peace. She looks at the ground and whispers, "You see, we're learning again." Her voice is quiet, but her heart feels full. Later, as evening falls, she writes in her notebook once more. Movement is language. And my body speaks softly, but I finally know how to listen. She reads the words aloud, her voice trembling slightly. For so long, she thought aging meant losing. Now she sees it differently. Aging is remembering. Remembering patience. Remembering presence. Remembering to move gently, but never stop. She closes the notebook and rests it beside her tea. The air smells like jasmine and rain. She stretches her legs, feeling the quiet pulse of strength inside them. The whisper of her joints is still there, but it's no longer a plea. It's a song, a soft reminder that she's alive, still growing, still capable. And as the sky turns gold, Margaret smiles to herself and bends once more, just to say thank you. The sun rises over the park, painting the grass with gold. Margaret walks slowly along the path, a folded chair in her hand. The air smells of morning dew and fresh leaves. She finds a quiet spot beneath the oak tree and sets her chair down. Her knees bend easily now, her back strong and steady. She takes a deep breath, feeling the rhythm of her heartbeat match the world around her. Soon she's not alone. Elsie arrives, waving with her usual bright smile. Behind her come two more neighbors, both curious and shy. They've heard about Margaret's morning bends. They've seen her walking lighter, laughing more. "Is this the famous exercise?" one of them jokes. Margaret laughs. "It's not famous, just kind." They form a small circle, each holding onto their own chair for support. Margaret guides them, her voice calm, steady, almost musical. "Breathe in. Now bend gently, from your knees to your toes. Don't rush. Let your body lead." The sound of quiet laughter mixes with the chirping birds. Some wobble, some groan, some smile. But everyone keeps going. A week later, there are 8 of them. Men and women in their 60s and 70s, gathering under the same tree. Some bring mats, others bring coffee. They share stories between bends, about grandkids, recipes, old memories. The exercise becomes more than movement. It becomes connection. One morning, a stranger stops to watch. She looks uncertain, holding her walking stick. Margaret waves her over. "Join us," she says warmly. The woman hesitates, then nods and steps closer. By the second bend, she's smiling too. There's something healing in their shared rhythm, a quiet strength that grows between them. Each person moves differently, yet together they form a gentle flow. The park begins to recognize them, the group that bends with the sunrise. Children wave as they pass. Dog walkers stop to smile. And Margaret feels something she hasn't felt in years, belonging. After every session, they sit and talk. Sometimes about pain, sometimes about joy, always about how good it feels to move again. Elsie teases her, calling her Coach Margaret. She shakes her head, laughing. No coach, just a friend who learned to listen. The others nod, their faces glowing with pride and peace. As the weeks pass, the group grows stronger. Their bends deeper, their laughter louder. But more than that, they've found a rhythm of life. Movement has become a habit, a promise they keep to themselves and to each other. One morning, as they finish, Margaret looks around at the smiling faces. Her heart swells with quiet gratitude. She whispers, "We started with whispers. Now we move like music." The wind carries her words across the park, soft and sure. She closes her eyes, bends once more, and feels the earth answer beneath her feet. The sun sits low on the horizon, melting into shades of gold and rose. Margaret stands beneath the oak tree, her hands resting on her thighs. The park is quiet now, the laughter of her friends fading into the evening air. She breathes deeply, feeling the warmth of the day linger in her chest. Her knees bend slowly, her back moving with ease, her breath steady and full. She reaches toward her toes, not to test herself, but to thank her body. The earth feels cool beneath her fingertips. For a moment, time stands still. She straightens, eyes lifted toward the fading light. The world feels gentle, and so does she. Her body no longer whispers in pain. It hums softly with strength and grace. She smiles, a quiet smile that comes from knowing peace. Movement, she thinks, is not about youth. It's about staying alive in spirit. It's about listening to the rhythm that never truly fades. She turns toward home, her steps light, her heart open. Tomorrow will come, and she will bend again. Not out of habit, but out of gratitude. For life, for motion, for the simple gift of still being here.